Welcome everyone to my 2023 sim racing and office tour. In this video I'll show you the space that I use, how everything is organized, and why it's organized this way. The room is divided in 3 spaces: the sim rig, the desk, and then the storage back there. This is the current iteration of the room, which is currently the most practical thus far. Since the room is only 2.8 by 2.8 meters, every choice needs to be useful not only for sim racing but also for the creation of videos. Let's start with the area you see the most. In this case it will be the sim rig, and it's also the most important area of the room. There have been a few changes. I've moved to a pre-production GT Omega Prime that was in storage after being sent for review. It is rigid, and because it's profile, it can do basically everything with it. The original pedal plate wasn't really that good, so I bought the new style pedal plate along with the integrated single monitor. The seat continues to be a GT Omega XLRS that has been absolutely great for the last 3 years. It's very comfortable for long stints. Really, the only change that I would do to this rig right now is regarding the integrated single monitor. The bar is a little bit too big, and I don't think this single monitor system is as practical as anything else that is in the market for these types of sim rigs. And speaking of monitor stands, attached to it there's a BenQ 3415R, a curved 34-inch 1440p monitor. At the distance it envelops most of the eyesight and gives extra awareness. And at the top there's a random LG screen to control the stream and recording. It's basically standing there with a regular monitor arm. For the wheelbase, I still use the Fanatec DD1. Despite chunky, it is still the most practical wheelbase for me, since I not only race on the PC but also on the PlayStation 5. This is the PlayStation 5 compatible version of the DD1, which is sadly discontinued. For the wheel, I'm using the McLaren 650 GT3. It has all the buttons I need. The ergonomics are just fantastic. It's super comfortable. If I need to use a round wheel, I have a choice between the CSL hub with the 330mm Mozza round wheel. I know it's a Frankenstein, but the Mozza wheel is actually really good. And then I also have a choice for the P1 V2. This V2 was worth every penny, and it's kind of fantastic because this is the cheapest wheel they have. For pedals, I'm really spoiled for choice, and I've used a few this year. That includes the SRP GT3Ps and the IMSIM Talentos. Both of them are superior to the one that I have in the rig, which will be the CSL Elite V2s. But to be honest, the V2s are really good enough, and they are console compatible by connecting it to the wheelbase. They still provide most of the braking quality of the better ones. Technically they are a downgrade from the Club Sport V3s from last year, but in practice they have a far better brake. Finishing up, the Club Sport shifter and handbrake. Really not my favorite handbrake. The shifter is quite nice, but it will need an electrical tape mod. Anyways, having everything Fanatec really simplifies the content creation process because it allows me to do everything what I want, just changing a cable to the PC and to the PlayStation whenever I need. The sim rig is not only meant to be practical, but also practical to shoot with, and I do it all the time. It is also deliberately done to be as easy as possible to change your equipment, and I do that quite often. Now let's go to the desk. It is a popular IKEA hack: a Carly countertop and some Alex drawers. The countertop is a bit too large, to be fair. I'm considering having it shortened by some 20 centimeters. But let's start with the chair now. There was a refresh to a Noble Hero TX. It's very comfortable, it's breathable, it starts a bit rigid, but after a week the cushions get softer. Fortunately, now the cat is trained enough not to scratch it. Unfortunately, I'm gonna get another cat and I hope he doesn't scratch it. Going towards the monitor, it is an LG Ultra Gear 27GN88A, which is a 1440p 144Hz display. I really love this monitor. At 27 inches, it's great. It has excellent colors. The panel is super fast and responsive. For gaming and content creation, it is pretty great as it ticks all the boxes. Now for peripherals, the keyboard is a TechWare Phantom, blue switches, and XDA type keycaps. The switches are pretty good. I really love the sound of the keyboard. The downside of a cheaper mechanical keyboard when I got it is not being wireless. Maybe in the future I'll get a NuFi Air 75 or a Halo 75. The mouse is a Logitech G703 Lightspeed, an excellent mouse, very comfortable, fast, responsive, even in wireless mode. It's gliding in this cheap felt mat, but it completes a look. In the future, maybe I'll get another one. I was getting a bit annoyed at pulling the charging cable for the mouse, so I got this static charger. When I'm not using the mouse, I just leave it charging. It's really a simple solution. Powering all this creation sim rig and over here is my computer, and this is a really weird story. The previous PC went to my daughter because she wanted to play some Minecraft, but instead of buying a laptop for her, I decided to use that money and build a new PC, and she gets the old one. I think that was the best decision. However, this is my second tower. The first tower went up in flames, more or less. I had a GPU malfunction or a tower malfunction that wrecked a lot of components, including the GPU, the processor, the motherboards, and worst of all, some of my hard drives, including one that I used for storage. And this is the second iteration with a Fractal Pop case, AMD 7700X, 32 gigs of DDR5 RAM, and a 4070. Then on the other side of the screen, there's a PlayStation 5, an Elgato Master Mount L serving as a structure for the Amaran 60D light with that huge umbrella, and a bar that hosts the Sony Alpha 6400, which is basically the camera that is recording all of this. Sound and light are really important for content creation, and I've been investing a lot of my effort into it. Sony Alpha 6400s that you're seeing at the moment suffered some water damage. I don't have a viewfinder or the monitor at the back. Maybe in the future I'll repair this camera, so it's relegated just to doing these shots. The replacement is this Sony ZV-E10, which is essentially the same camera, but it's more video focused. And to capture some footage, not all of it, because a lot of it I record internally with the SD card here, I'm using a Camlink 4K, which is to be shared between this camera and this camera. Before going to the collects, let's talk a bit about sound. I'm a huge supporter that sound is the most important thing you can do on a channel. A viewer will click out far easier from a video with bad sound than one with bad video. So there's a change now. This is a Mayono PM500. They sent this last year or earlier this year. I told them I had no intention to review it. They still sent it. I don't know why, but I got it and I'm instantly sold. It is a super smooth sounding mic, and I've been with it despite being spoiled for choice with a Rode Procaster and an MXL 990. This microphone is connected to a Wave XLR, one of the best buys that I've done thus far. It is really a super nice mic amplifier and also a really nice headphone DAC. The software is super useful to separate tracks and all of that and mess about with your streaming and your recording. Very practical and super small as well. Lastly, on the sounds, the headphones, the AKG's K702s. I've been having these for 3 years. I really love them. I love how comfortable they are, the open back design, and I really love the signature of AKG. And at the back, finally, there is the Kallax. It serves as storage as well as a point of interest at the top. It has some of the Simracing components stored at the top for a little bit of interest. A couple of plants and a few bottles of gin make the look a little more diverse. Lights wise, I have this LED strip light and the panel LED serving as an accent light. Below, a few more components being lit by some cabinet kitchen lights. So this is a really interesting hack to light up the cubes. So this room, as you can see, needs to serve for many things. Very small, 9 square meters. It's really not that big. It serves as recording, sim rig, A-roll, B-roll, voice recording. It does a lot of things in this small footprint. But there's one last point, and I want to talk about cable management. Cable management is really nice when you don't have to do it and when you don't have to change everything as often as I do. The cable management that I have at the moment is on the practical side. It is not perfect. And for that, there are a few choices that I've made to make it as simple as possible. I hate cables, so having less cables is nice. That means if I can have a piece of equipment that does multiple jobs, I'll do that. That's why I have only one Camlink, not two. And that's one of the reasons why I don't have a triple skin monitor scheme. I could have a triple 27, no problem whatsoever in this room. It would be not very different from what I have with the 34 inch. Maybe just a little bit bigger, but it would fit there. But more cables, more mess, more power. I like just this single monitor solution, and I like how simple that all of this is with the minimal cable fuss as possible. And we're talking about doing all of this content creation. Let me know your feedback, what you think about this room. What would you like to change? What would you improve, or other choices that you would have, maybe keeping all of this format. A big thank you to all the channel members for helping the channel out. And if you want to know how to choose sim racing equipment, press the button. I think it's the video this side.